it always looked like Lucknow Super Giants game, and they've picked up the points against the Punjab Kings. So a sweet sort of feeling for KL Rahul against his former franchise, not necessarily contributing with bat, but picked what was an aggressive attacking team, which has done the job by defending 153. So it's 2 games in a row now at Pune. We've seen scores in that 140, 150 range, defended and quite comfortably. We look back at that innings. What went wrong for Punjab? What did Lucknow do right? On Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by IQ9 5G. Dan Vettori said he expects Lucknow to defend this, and it looked almost throughout that innings that they were going to, Dan.
Yeah, it's very similar to the Rajasthan RCB game where they put pressure on with wickets early on, and their fast bowls in particular for Lucknow I thought were exceptional, and then they handed off to the spinners through those middle stages, and Krunal Pandya proved once again that he's effective against left and right-handers. So I think Lucknow will sit back and say we're getting to the stage where we're putting together complete performances, and there'll be a confidence that really grows within the camp.
Ben, I mean, is it fair to say that never quite looked like Punjab were going to get over the line? You almost expected brilliance from 1 or 2 guys, and even then it looked like the game was just stretching beyond them. When it's not a big target, and did it still look like that? What does that tell you about Punjab?
No, you never really felt, even from the first over that they were in the game, they kept losing wickets at regular intervals, couldn't put partnerships together. We saw the ball move around early when it was new, it swung, it bounced, and they never really came back from that, to be fair.
Yeah, what I find curious though, Dan, is when you've got a 35 without loss sort of score in 4 overs, you think, yeah, you're underway, it's 150. It wasn't sort of a 10 for 2, 10 for 3 kind of thing, which suddenly makes 150 look a lot. What's ailing this Punjab batting side?
It does feel like they're switching gears all the time, and maybe that comes from not quite understanding what their roles are. But I would be surprised by that, because it's Mayank Kapoor and Shikhar Dhawan who are incredibly experienced players, international players, and then you followed up by Bairstow and Liam Livingstone. So I take that all back and say I think it's just one of those nights where they couldn't quite get a read on the surface. I thought Mohsin Khan's first over was exceptional. He put a lot of pressure on Mayank Kapoor, bowled short to him, and then that was backed up the whole way through with Jamira, Avish Khan, and then onto the spinners. So I think we flip it back towards Lucknow, and particularly those 3 fast bowlers early on, I thought they were exceptional.
What is the reading on the surface, Ben? Now that we look back at the game after both innings, what made run-making challenging?
No, I think there was definitely some variability in it. It was interesting with the new ball. We saw it actually stand up, difficult, batting up front there. And when you don't really nail the power play, particularly in a small chase, and you lose wickets following that, it can really build on you. So, I thought they bowled very, very well. I'd still question the attack if there were quite a few runs that they didn't have to play with, and a team came pretty hard on them, because I don't think the great did the job tonight.
Yeah, it's a funny use of bowlers. KL Rahul said he wanted the extra bowling option. As it turns out, Jason Older's bowled just 1 over. He's been one of their key bowlers to go to in whatever situation. Managed his bowlers well. Looked like the likes of Mohsin Khan was troubling more batters. So that makes it a good selection.
Absolutely. I think it's a dream result for KL Rahul's selection, because it meant that he could utilise his bowlers when he thought they'd be the most effective, and he didn't have to force any scenarios. And I think mainly around that Mohsin Khan one was that if he hadn't bowled that well, then obviously Holder could have come in and stepped up, but he was exceptional. And now you're getting a feel for him at the top of the order. They've used him at the back end as well. So they're really getting an understanding of what this bowling attack can bring to the table. And I think it is mainly about Chameera and Krunal Pandya and how good they've been, and then the pieces around them will be allowed to flourish as well. And Jason Holder as well. I mean, we know what a quality bowler he is.
So what made Krunal Pandya so hard to get away? I mean, 2 for 11. 2.75, a maiden included.
Well, I feel like I've been saying this for a long time, is that he's one of the few spinners who can bowl at that pace with still a bit of topspin on it, where most finger spinners who bowl that quickly have to undercut the ball, and therefore all that's happening is the ball's skidding on, unless it's a really bad surface and you might get a little bit of spin. But what he's doing now is he's challenging batsmen with that pace, but also he's still getting some dip. So it's not like batsmen can get down to him. It's not like batsmen can go back. It's incredibly difficult to read the length. So, and that's why he's so successful against left-hand batters and right-handed batters, because he's actually got something on the ball. So it's a real skill, and it's impressive to watch.
If you have to almost look back at that chase or that innings, Ben, what do you be thinking as a batting unit? You seem like you have the firepower. you went with the extra batter, you changed your team selection, and you've not been able to chase 150, which we still agree is par, even though it was a challenging surface?
Yeah, you got to look back and think partnerships. They didn't have the partnerships that they needed. Johnny Besko got a start. He was 32 off 28, but didn't really have anyone to go along with him, and he probably needed to go on with it himself. If he gets 50, 55 there, they win the game. Someone else chips in around him. That's the total, and they made it.
Choice of shots for some of these key wickets. Dhawan sweeping Bishnoi, Livingston with the little paddle of a slow ball to Mohsin Khan. How much blame to the batter? How much credit to the bowlers?
Credit to the bowlers, I think, more than anything. I think this was an all-round bowling display that got them to this victory. I think we acknowledged that the wicket had a little bit in it, but I thought the execution from the Lucknow bowlers tonight was superb. And so Livingston was at a stage of his innings where I think he wanted to go. He's always wants to go, and we saw that in the previous over where he hit Bishnoi for 2 sixes, and he just wanted to continue on with that. So I feel like his is an unlucky dismissal.
Is it fair to say that Livingston batting, playing these sorts of match-winning innings on more challenging surfaces will be the next test now, or is that too early right now? It's only his first full season.
No, I think he has the confidence to play in any conditions, any surfaces. And you saw him take on the spin and look quite comfortable against the spin, being able to hit Bishnoi down the ground. So I don't think surfaces challenge him at all. In a lot of ways, he just needs someone to go with him, so it doesn't feel like it's just all on him.
If we look at when you've had a 20-run defeat, Ben, you're going to look at different parts of the game and think, where could you have gone better? Will it be completely on the batting, or will they look back at 126 for 7 when Jason Holder was dismissed in the 18th over with 14 balls to get? Chamira and Mohsin Khan have managed to put on 27, take him to 153. It could have easily have been closer to 140. How crucial was that phase in the overall result of this game?
Look, it was obviously crucial, but 153 is still no mean target. That's still pretty under par, I thought. I think you've got to put most of it on the batters, to be fair.
You go with that?
Yeah, everything on the batters. Let's bury them tonight.
I'm just trying to think of whether this is the kind of game that again would deflate you. We spoke about RCB against Rajasthan, 145 not being able to chase hurts more than 60 odd all out. Punjab, for all their go hard, high risk, high reward approach, can't chase 145, 150. What does that sort of leave you with?
Well, I think it definitely hurts, like it would have hurt RCB the other night, because you're coming off a very strong bowling performance where you walk off the park going, we've done well here, our bowlers have done their job, let's go and finish it off. And that's the victories that you want to... Well, those are the complete team victories that you have, and that builds the confidence within the team. So I think they'll be hugely disappointed. I think it'll hurt a lot, but they still have that dynamic in their top 4 or 5 that's going to go out and be aggressive, and that could be enough on a good surface in the next game.
Mayank Agarwal was so happy on winning the toss today. We didn't want to hide it either. It's turned out they're on the wrong side of this result. With what we're seeing at Pune at least, will batting first be a smarter option at all?
I think so. Once again, you have to read the surface. You have to trust the captains and the coaches and everyone who's inspecting that wicket to see whether it justifies that. And once again, Hardik Pandya has been the only person who's been brave enough, albeit not at Pune, to bat first, and it proved successful. So I think teams have got to take a chance in some of these situations to say, this wicket is not as good as we think. Maybe batting first is the right option.
Does the balance seem right? It's not like we're asking after one loss, Ben, but even after the last one against Chennai, we're wondering, is this the ideal team? They left out Shah Rukh Khan. They've given Nathan Ellis just the one game. Benny Howell's not got a game yet. Dan's a big fan of Benny Howell, thinks he'll add some sort of balance to that team. But does this Punjab team seem like they've just had a bad day, or they're still not sure of their best 11?
No, I still think they're unsure of their best 11. That's probably why they have been chopping and changing, one game here, one game there for guys. Whether that comes down to have they picked the right squad at the auction, I'm not sure. There's still quite a few games left if they can get on a roll, but at this stage, you're probably right. They haven't quite found the balance.
You're getting that feeling that this Punjab team is still not sure of their 11?
Definitely. And this is what I suppose every team goes through when they have the conundrum around what to do with our number 6 and number 7 batsmen, and that's the all-rounder spot. And they've tried the extra bowler, they've tried the extra batter. Like we talked about off air, I think Benny Howell gives them the right balance. He can bat 5, 6, 7, and he can definitely bowl his 4 overs, particularly in these sorts of conditions like in Pune. Who that means to leave out, it may be Rajapaksa. That is the guy that has to fall away to give Kings the balance that they need.
Would that also make people just bat in better positions? Livingston 1 up, Bairstow should stay at 3, but last game came in at 4-5.
Yes, I think so. I think Bairstow at 3. You can't go wrong with Bairstow at 3. You can potentially mix and match with Livingston, but I think Livingston is very comfortable batting 4. I think that's what he does more often than not. And anywhere below that feels like you could leave him out and waste his abilities.
Would you, if you just look at Bairstow, Ben, would it be fair to say that once he's got in 32, 27, that's the kind of game you expect your gun overseas batter to take you through the line?
Yeah, when you're in and you've got the balls behind you, that's where you got to lock in and get to that 20th over and get the team over the line. But in saying that, like Dan said earlier, you need someone to go with you. You need someone to take the pressure off you because you can't score every boundary, you can't score every run, and it builds up momentum if there's two of you doing it at the same time.
All right, well, that's pretty much it. Just finally, if you're talking about looking at these conditions and picking teams for it, would this be in some ways a very satisfying win for the management, support staff, coaches, whoever saw the surface and told Lucknow it's okay to drop an extra bat, let's stick with Mohsin and Avesh. On the other hand, Punjab not quite sure with their team. Would this give Lucknow's think tank more satisfaction this win?
I think it will justify their auction as well. The fact that they picked up the all-rounders and Cornell, Stoinis and Jason Holder, and that allowed them to play this sort of team because they get such balance, and that's the balance that Punjab's craving. And also the fact that the Mohsin Khan, the way that he's bowled and the selection, the auction. So I think it goes all the way back to there, that their auction strategy is paying off in these situations.
You see this team now for Lucknow carrying on, or was this just horses for courses today?
I believe so. I mean, they're still not bowling Stoinis, so they have that Holder bowl 1 over. So you could potentially say they've got too many bowlers, but I think, as we spoke about before, KL will like that. He'll like that he has a different bowler for every scenario, and if someone's having a bad day, then they're more than covered.
Points table will reflect. Lucknow are on the charge, like the new franchises, like the other new franchise in Gujarat Titans. They too look good for a playoff spot. Could they even end in the top 2? It's going to be hard to try and displace Rajasthan Royals or Gujarat Titans with the kind of form and results that they're showing. But the Super Giants are number 3. Punjab Kings still in 8 points, still in it. But, well, I don't know if it's fair to say, Ben, if you're a Punjab fan, would you be jumping with confidence that, we're still in it, we had one bad day? Seem to be having a lot of bad days that just have deflated this team. What do you think their chances are going into the business end of the season to make the playoffs?
I think where they're sitting on the table right now is about right. 7th. That's probably how they've played. That they've hit a few games out of the park and they've stuffed a few games up. Like they did tonight. To be fair, I can't see that changing any time in the next couple of games. So I think where they are now is probably whereabouts they're going to finish. Yeah,
I mean, if I just bring that points table up, they might be locked on points or just one win away from, you could say, an RCB or a Sunrisers Hyderabad. But we're talking in a very different tone about Sunrisers. It almost seems positive, optimistic. RCB too, even after 2 bad losses, we feel like saying, they've got more about them to actually challenge for the playoffs. We're not quite having that conversation about the Punjab Kings, fair to say, and why?
Balance of the team. I think they're still searching for it. And if you look at probably the bottom 4 teams, that would be the same answer for all of them. But I still think Kings have a chance. I still think Delhi and RCB can definitely get on a roll because they've done it before. But the likes of Sunrisers seem more settled with their selection, albeit they lost their last game. They'll still more than likely pick the same team for the next game. You can't say that with those 3 other teams. There'll possibly be some changes. So the teams that look settled and confident and comfortable probably are the ones that are going to have more of a chance of making those semis.
Punjab are still in it. I'm looking at the remaining fixtures. Gujarat, Rajasthan, Bangalore, Delhi, Sunrisers. So pretty much everyone above them except Delhi. Doesn't look good, does it?
No, I mean, we know anyone can beat anyone on the day. It makes their task tough. But I still believe that top 4 has the ability to get on a roll and set Kings up. And the complementary pieces around Rabada, Ashdeep, Chahar. I think they're all quite quality bowlers. So there's enough good players there. They get their balance right, win a game, and everything looks completely different.
Okay, let's see if that does come their way. If I could ask you to pick a player of the match, hard on a day like this, where you've had multiple players contribute. Ben Cutting, most decisive. You've got Quinton de Kock with some runs, Chamira and Mohsin Khan with runs and wickets. Krunal Pandya, excellent spell. Who's had the biggest impact on this game?
For me, Mohsin Khan. I saw him a couple of years ago at Mumbai. He did not bowl like he bowled tonight. He was a very good player, but a couple of years ago. But tonight he bowled the house down. He hit the deck hard. He bowled fast with a great change of pace.
Yeah, since you brought that up, I wonder if you could just tell me more about Mohsin Khan. We said he was with Mumbai. Mumbai aren't known to be a franchise that let go of players if they have something about them. He's bowling like this 2 seasons later. They'll be regretting that. Mumbai are missing quite a few bowlers this season.
You're not wrong. I think it was 2018. We were both there together. Faced a lot of him in the nets. I don't remember him bowling anywhere near that sort of pace. Hit the deck hard, like I said before, and actually got that ball to kiss through, couple through the chin, which was lovely to see.
Seems to remember Mohsin Khan very well.
I'm glad you remember some teammates, Ben.
We were waiting for it. Sorry, I know it's late for you. But it is a funny one, isn't it? Mohsin Khan seems to have something about him here. Mumbai struggling for bowlers. I mean, can you make that comparison, or do you understand it? Maybe they didn't see this guy.
Every team has those stories. It's frightening, the players that you let go and you wish they were still in your side. So I can't blame Mumbai for that, particularly if Cutsy says at the time he wasn't the bowler he is now. So credit to him that he's come from there at that stage to be able to push through and become the bowler that he is now.
Mohsin Khan for Ben Cutting. Would you go with that? Would you go Chamira? Would you go de Kock?
I think it has to be Chamira, and because of his batting in a lot of ways. I mean, that 17 off 10, those 2 sixes off Rabada just gave a little bit of impetus, and then the quality that he's shown with the ball consistently, I think he deserves to be man of the match.
All right. Thank you very much to Dan Vettori and Ben Cutting. Before I leave them, though, let's have a look at the Maruti Suzuki Driving School poll of the day. Question that we had asked at the start of the day was, who do you think will score the most runs in this Punjab-Lucknow game? Now, Quinton de Kock got 46, and that would have been the right answer. So if any of you went for the others, the 19% of you would have got that right. So de Kock responsible for the victory in the Maruti Suzuki Driving School poll of the day. Big double-header coming up this weekend. Gujarat, Bangalore. It's a huge game for RCB, you'd think. Let's hope we see the best of them. And we'll see Mumbai Indians can manage number 9. Or if Rajasthan Royals will have a good day, they're celebrating it, or they're remembering the great Shane Warne on that occasion tomorrow. So do join us for that double-header with Ben Cutting and Dan Vettori. See you then on Maruti Suzuki Presents ESPN Cricket for T20 Timeout, powered by Eco 95G.